All right, last row of trick questions here. Just as a reminder, you'll use this acronym SOHCAHTOA right here. I go over that on the 7 through 10 video if you want to check that out there. But that acronym helps us set these up here. All right, looking at this one here, you got 28 degrees right there. Label your opposite, adjacent, hypotenuse. Okay. The first one here, let's solve for x, which is the opposite. Let's use the number they give us, which is h. So that's going to be the, the sine function, sine of 28 degrees, and then equals x, the opposite, over the hypotenuse 19. If x is in the numerator, after you cross multiply, you'll get x is equal to 19 times the sine of 28. Make sure your calculator is in degree mode. Make sure you hit mode and then go check that. So let's see here, 19 times sine of 28. Oh, let's see if I can type it in here correctly. 19 sine 28. All right, so that's x is approximately 8.9. And I think they asked us round to the nearest tenth. Okay, next problem here, next part of the problem here, we're going to still use the 19, but now we need to find y, which is the adjacent side. That means we need to use the cosine function, cosine of 28, and then that equals y over 19. Y is in the numerator. When you cross multiply and divide, you'll get 19 times cosine of 28. 19 cosine 28 degrees. That's roughly 16.8 after you round. So that's that right there. The hypotenuse is h, which is 19. That should be the largest side. X is across from the smaller of the two angles, 8.9, so that's the smaller side. And then y is across from the medium-sized angle. So everything checks out right there. All right, next one here. We are given the hypotenuse. And, yep, this one's pretty much like the same. There's your opposite, adjacent. Your hypotenuse is, towards the bottom on this one here. But this will be fairly similar here. Finding x, that'll use the cosine function first, cosine of 19 degrees, and then equals the adjacent over hypotenuse, 10 over x. X is in the numerator, that's 10 times cosine of 19 after you cross multiply and divide. It's not one to type in here good for me. Okay, so x is roughly 9.5, I guess, after you round right there. So that'd be good to go. And then let's go get the same thing, or do the same process here for y. Y, you are going to use the O and H, that'll be sine. So it'll be sine of 19 degrees equals y over 10. Multiply both sides by 10 right there, that's 10 times sine 19. So let's see what we get there. 10 sine 19 degrees. All right, so about 3.3 after you round for y. And y is across from the smallest angle, so that does make sense. And x was 9.5, that's smaller than the 10, so that does make sense as well. So yep, we're good to go there on that. All right, a couple more. Label opposite, adjacent, and hypotenuse right here. Let's find x first, which is O and H. That'll use the sine function. Sine of 58 degrees equals 4 over x. If x is in the denominator, after you cross multiply and divide, you'll get 4 divided by sine of 58. Division usually when x is in the denominator, multiplication if x is in the numerator. So 4 divided by sine 58. If you do it the other way around, sine 58 divided by 4, you're going to get something totally different, so be careful on those. Let's see here, so that's roughly 4.7. That's for side x right there, so that's a hypotenuse, so you shouldn't really get any bigger results than that. If we want to go find y, we will use the a and h function, that's a cosine function. Cosine 58, and then equals, that'll be, oh, I'm sorry, you know what, not cosine. I need to use the numbers that I started with here, so That is actually tangent right there. I think I caught that quickly. Use the numbers that they give you and start you out with. We could have used h or the x, but we would have had to use a rounded decimal value. And also, if we were incorrect on the first part, then we're definitely going to be incorrect on the second part. So it's good to start over. That'll be 58 degrees, 4 over y. Y is in the denominator after you cross multiply and divide, which I do show those steps on, I think, the very first problem on, what was it, 7 and, where is it? Yep, 7 and 8. I show those steps there. Anyways, y equals 4 divided by tangent of 58. 4 divided by tangent 58 degrees. And that's roughly 2.5. Actually, those should be squiggly lines here. Which, that is across your smaller angle, so that does check out right there. All right, awesome. Last one here, number 18 on the straight-up trig problems. The last one, at least. There's O, there's A, there's H. H is always across from the hypotenuse. I know it's on the bottom here. That's just because of the way the triangle is turned. And let's see here. Let's find X first, and using the H and the A, that'll be cosine. Cosine of 41 degrees. And then that'll equal X over 11. So X is in the numerator. That'll be 11 times cosine of 41 degrees right there. 11 cosine 41 happens to be 8.3 for X. That is smaller than the hypotenuse that I gave you, so that's good to go. Next one, let's see here, 11, we want to reuse that, and then the Y right here. That'll be sine of 41 degrees, and then it's O over H, that'll be Y over 11. Just because the variable is in the numerator on the first case does not necessarily mean the variable will always be in the numerator on the second case. A lot of the examples, unfortunately, have come out that way on this review, but sometimes the variable for one of them can be in the numerator, and the variable for the second part of the problem can be in the denominator. So don't make a false misconception or false conjecture, I guess I should say, on that right there. But anyways, variables in the numerator, you'd multiply both sides by 11, or you could think of cross multiplying, and that's 11 times the sine of 41 degrees. That's roughly 7.2 units, and that's it right there on that section.